I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Board of Leavenworth County Commissioners. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, all three commissioners are present. I'd like to open up with public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name and address.
My name's Louis Klemp, 1816 Pine Ridge Drive, Leavenworth, Kansas. I know you're going to talk about budgets today, but I was just wanting to pass on to you what is the most important functions that you gentlemen have.
Budget and policy.
Very good. But you left out the third one, where you evaluate staff and your county administrator. Because they're the ones that are supposed to be performing, first of all, for us, the taxpayer, second of all, for the employees, and third is whatever you want to take on and walk around and do and bleed for and cry for and do whatever you're spending money for. But the main thing is for the taxpayers and for the employees, secondary. And I hope you accomplish the third thing, which is evaluating your department heads on how they perform and knock off the politically correct, well, they're working hard on the budget. No, you'll be able to tell whether they're working hard on the budget, and you'll be able to judge your county administrator. And if he's got the potential that some people say he's got, he'll give you a very good budget, and it won't be one of these play around budgets. And one thing I'm disappointed with, and I was highly elated over the outcome of what was happening in Washington, D.C., that we don't have there what it takes to do what they were doing yesterday. It was a catastrophe and should never have happened, but we got nuts all over the world. Everything that they did, they praised and thanked the big man. Now, I don't know why we don't do that occasionally. The city at least says we'll have silent meditation over what that BS is. But we need to start praying for things because things aren't going good like they are. This county is messed up as bad as Washington, D.C. Who created it? I'm not going to name the blame, but they can raise their hand, they can look in the mirror, and they'll know who created the problems. And we do not need these problems in Leavenworth County because now this commission is trying to straighten out in their own beliefs of how they can straighten out the problems with Leavenworth County, and they're really not getting the job done fast enough. So I would appreciate your involvement in good policy and a good budget for us, the taxpayers and the employees, and don't worry about, well, there's 15 of us out here on this road and we deserve a road. You've got a policy for that, and that's the man that should be taking care of that, and that's the man that should be taking care of that. Someday we'll have a woman back in there probably, so that we'll say that person. So let's do a professional job and let's get things accomplished for the taxpayer and for the employees, and then the rest of it is miscellaneous. Because I know my taxes went up this year, so somebody's coming up with a lot of money and I just don't like to see it spent. Sometimes I like a little return so I can pay my security guy, my concrete guy, my electrician that pays money into the county for roads and bridges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Klemp. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Then we'll close that portion of public comment. Just for the record, Commissioner Klemp, I pray for this county every day, and our elected, and I even pray for you every day, Mr. Klemp.
I need the help.
I know. Thank you. We'll move on to the minutes as commissioners had a chance to look at the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes. I see no needed corrections or additions, and I move their approval.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 Any administrative business?
I would like to ask if you could amend today's agenda to allow for a brief executive session at the end of our normal meeting today.
Okay. After Okay.
Basically, right before the adjournment, right after you approve the OCBs, it looks like.
Do you need a motion to amend the agenda?
Yes, just to amend the agenda.
Okay.
So moved.
Second, voting?
Aye.
Aye.
What does this pertain to?
Non-elected personnel?
Non-elected personnel.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any OCBs today?
I do have some administrative business.
Okay.
I was looking through our billing from Anderson Bird, and on two of the bills, he gives us a detailed breakdown of what he is charging us for, and I like that. The last bill, and I've been wanting to ask this for quite some time, blank piece of paper. It says services for attorney's fees. I think all these could be, well, this one says service for attorney's fees, but he did reference what was going on. I think that we need to start requesting him to give us a breakdown of what this, we don't need it redacted. We need to know exactly what we're paying for, not just paying a blank check because he says we owe $3,200.
Okay.
Because these two bills were,
Right.
and this bill is
Right.
nothing. So I
Okay.
I would request that we ask him for the documentation that would give us the information for what we're paying for.
Okay, Commissioner, I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either. I think right now the breakdown of the hours expended are with the clerk's office, and we can obtain copies of that.
If it's with the clerk's office, why weren't we as commissioners given that? Because
I can't answer that. I'm just saying that the breakdown is there, and we will get it.
Right. That's a
Another
reasonable request.
Another thing I have is that I understand that Tuesday, a petition for declaration judgment was filed against 4 employees with their contracts, and I was under the assumption through our last executive session that we were going to work with the employees for 2 weeks and see if we couldn't get them to look at the contracts and see if they would get on board. And now we've already filed this declaration of judgment, and that basically means that we're starting the lawsuit process against these 6 people, which only 4 of them were filed. So have you, and I was not aware of any of this. I found out yesterday that this judgment was filed, and I would like, did Mr. Rayburn file this judgment?
I believe our motion, 3 or 4 weeks ago was to do 2 more weeks of negotiation then.
But
And then-
we have not gone to.
But we did not
weeks.
rescind that motion to seek, not to seek declaratory judgment. The last motion was
But-
to seek declaratory judgment.
The last executive session, we said, or maybe it was an open session, that we said we would work 2 more weeks to see if we
I
could.
don't think there was 2
I
more
don't believe
weeks.
it
I
was
think
2
it
more
was
weeks.
continued
It was take a
negotiations,
period
and they
of
could have
time.
negotiated up until the time it was filed.
Well, how are you going to negotiate something if you had suit filed against you? I mean, it's done. I mean.
That's right, it's done. They've had plenty of time.
Well,
It's done.
but you did say that 2 more weeks were being.
No, it wasn't 2 more
and-
weeks.
And
The
2
2
more
more
weeks.
weeks was the first,
And
when
2
we came out of executive session and said, 2 more weeks negotiation, then go ahead and seek declaratory judgment.
So.
Then we had another executive session after the 2 weeks, and they still had time to negotiate up until they filed.
But I guess what I'm saying too is that we did not reach out to all these employees. We only selected a select few. And I believe.
I'm
that-
assuming the others have negotiated a contract, or agreed to.
Well, some of them didn't even get a response. And another thing I wanted to know is, why was Janice Van Paris notified before these people with these contracts?
You'd have to ask the attorney, I'm not the attorney. Yes, sir.
I didn't get to hear what my commissioner had to say. You two were in dissertation, and Mr. Graber had something that he was giving as an input.
Okay. Commissioner?
The original time, the way I understood it, we gave a definite date as to when we would take action against the contracts. We then extended that because there was particularly one person that was willing to negotiate, and we put off filing thinking that person was going to negotiate. They failed to do so, we filed.
Okay, so you're not willing to discuss anything on this now because you have filed the suit against them. So that puts them at a distance with us. I guess my also concern is, why was I not informed of this? And I take it you weren't informed.
I found out about this morning,
I found out yesterday evening.
but I do know that we had directed him to do that.
So why was Janice Van Paris, the county treasurer, informed before the commission?
Oh, I thought we were talking about the clerk.
I can answer that, if you'd like. I'm here.
Yes.
I wasn't notified by the court. I was notified that there was an open record request by one of the people on the petition for all of my emails, all of my husband's emails, all of my attorney's emails. So, in knowing that, I was curious as to whether a lawsuit had been filed, because why would anybody want my emails? So I contacted district court and asked if a lawsuit had been filed, and evidently it had just been filed. So they didn't notify me. I contacted them, wondering why all of my emails were being requested. That was the reason I knew about the lawsuit.
Thank you. I believe this is something we're going to discuss in executive session, Commissioner.
Okay.
Okay. So with no OCVs, I guess what I wanted to talk about was, if none of the commissioners have anything else, was the 182nd Street. If we're over 400 cars a day, we're going to have something in the future on that. On 182nd, you sent a letter about the traffic count to these gentlemen.
Correct. They don't, the road, because of the traffic count, they don't qualify for the PRP program. The traffic count's too high.
Right.
And I did tell them that it would be considered for the CIP program based on traffic counts on other roads within that township.
Yeah. And I don't think you got another one that's any higher than that in that township.
We have probably close to 50 segments of road that are over 250. We have several that are over 400.
Yeah. And
So
we
it's
got to
just
address
not
the
them.
ones that are over 400.
Right. I agree. And I guess one thing, we've already voted to put dust abatement down, and I thought that was the bigger issue. They didn't like the dust.
But now we've opened up another can of worms. If we've got over 400 cars a day, we have to improve the road. It's no longer a low volume road.
It is not. So we can't do anything with the low volume.
It has to be, the road would have to be rebuilt
Right.
to current standards, correct?
Correct.
So.
And David has a plan on the road, I believe, that was done in the mid-2000s.
There's a CAD file created by previous staff.
Yeah,
It has not been reviewed
Yeah.
by current staff.
I mean, so this would require utilities to be moved
Easements to be required.
and temporary construction easements.
So how are we coming on 207th? That seems to be our most,
It's moving along. They're moving dirt. It's moving.
so,
It'll be done.
and we will,
It'll be done this
we
year.
will finish that this year.
Yes, it'll be done this year.
Okay.
And
And there's been several years we've been working on this.
120-some.
I can count the gray hairs in my head on
Also, we've got 179, remember?
it. Right.
And how are we doing on that?
I was told yesterday or the day before, it was, the hearing's supposed to be later this month.
The condemnation hearing is scheduled? Okay.
Yes.
So once the condemnation hearing's complete, we
Yeah.
can
Start
go out for
work on
bid?
that. Mhm.
We gotta get utilities. Power poles, water lines, telephone lines. All that has to be removed.
Okay. So, okay, then,
So as 182nd, have they come forward and filed the right paperwork to have their road chip and sealed?
There's really no paperwork for them to file. They tried to get on the PRP, but they don't qualify based on the traffic counts.
so does this mean you can still take the donated right of way, or are you gonna have to now pay for right of way?
We can ask them to donate it.
Okay,
But they actually don't have to donate it.
No.
So how will the funding come available for that particular road then?
We don't have that project funded in 2017 nor in our proposed 2018 budget. The earliest we could fund it in our budget would be 2019.
yes, sir.
What happened to the funding for it from 2014, 13, when they was started this road project?
Well,
Talking about it?
Actually, it started in '07.
Actually, I probably can shed a little light on that because we had, and Clyde, you were there, we had a meeting and at the time, I think it was in 2014, that we looked at all the PRP roads that had come before us. And at that time, you didn't have 100% of the people that were in favor of this. And by doing that, we went through and saw how long they've been on the list, and we basically cut them off the list and used the funding on other roads that had 100%.
I've got the signatures from 2013
Mhm.
of everybody on that road side. So it wasn't an issue of, no, the participation was there.
Well,
I believe the issue.
I'm only going what staff at that time
Right.
referenced to us.
The petition was signed, but I don't think, when I have searched, I looked in the Register of Deeds office, I could find no easements had
Right.
been granted.
And that's what we found also.
Well, if these people go ahead and donate the right of way, does the plan you have, is it far enough along that it has temporary construction and easements and all that, or?
The CAD file has easements showing, yes.
Okay,
But I would need to go back, verify everything that was done, that I'm satisfied with it, and it was
Okay.
my approval of the signs.
well, like I said, my concern is it's the over 400 cars a day over the low volume road classification, so.
Have you done a road count lately?
Yeah, we did one a week or so ago, it was over 500 cars.
So we're way past the low volume road. We pretty much have to do something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's got 500 cars a day,
But we also have other roads in the county that also have that many roads. Is mine not correct?
well, I just was commenting about this one that I was not aware that it was up 500 cars a day. That kind of puts it on the
Impossible
list.
to maintain as a gravel road
Yes.
is basically what it is, when you get that many cars a day on it. So, well, we're getting ready to do budgets, so we'll figure out where the money's at.
Yeah, we need to look at that.
But as Mr. Lujan said, it's not even on the budget
Mhm.
for this coming year.
Mhm. Well, it takes a while to get utilities moved and whatnot.
Right.
you know.
So it's
It
gonna
takes-
take
it takes-
several years before this
It
project.
took 18 months to get utilities moved down 207.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's what
And
we're
we-
looking
that's
at.
why we need these projects planned and on the shelf, so like public
agree.
works can pull them off the shelf year in advance or a year and a half in advance and get these utilities moved.
I agree.
And,
I think they should be on shelf ready.
yep. And that's where we're heading, I hope.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for us at this time?
Chairman, we have not adopted the agenda for next week.
Oh, that's true. I've looked at that. You all looked at that.
I move approval of the agenda for next week as published.
It's going to be a busy week.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for the week of June 19th, 2017.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 All right.
A reminder, Mel Hedrick Fishing Derby, Saturday, June 24th, 8 o'clock to 11 at Happy Hollow Lake, 19749 Happy Hollow Road, Leavenworth, Kansas.
And it's also same day as the Linwood 150th celebration.
Right.
They're having a big celebration down there all day long. Anything else then?
When is the fishing derby?
It's at the bottom of next week's agenda.
24th.
24th.
Ah, yeah, I guess if I'd read the red, I would see it.
Just the only other thing is the executive session.
Okay. All right. Andrea?
Yes. I have a comment. Now that the case has been filed and I am one of the contract employees, I did send in an email. As an attorney, I asked the board whether or not they would clarify my role post filing a petition against me and the other contract employees. I was hoping you could do that. I know that that email was sent to you several weeks ago. Your attorney, your administrator, I'm sure they got that to you and you were able to review that.
No,
But
we did not, I did not get one.
That's what our executive session is. I'm asking for the executive session. I wouldn't recommend talking about it right now.
But it is my request to you, so if you could let me know that, I would appreciate it. And I do waive my non-elected personnel status so that you may talk to me. I agree to be talked to about it in public. Thank you.
Okay. I move to recess into executive session, discuss non-elected personnel exception, to discuss possible personnel action involving 2 county employees. The meeting will take place at 9:25 and 15 minutes.
10.
Then we'll reconvene in this room at 9:35. Those to be present would be 3 commissioners, Mr. Lawfrey, Molly Hill.
No.
No?
Just us.
Just us? Okay. All right.
Can't have Molly.
Okay. Got a
Second.
motion? Oh, voting?
Aye.
Aye.
You can correct your time, sir.
9:25 to 9:35? 10 minutes?
Oh, I thought it said 15.
No, he changed, he told me
Oh,
10.
okay, very good.
Thank you for reminding me though. Can we use your office, Mark?
Yep.
All right. I think voting on this?
Aye.
All right. Let the record show that the governing body reconvened into regular meeting at 9:35. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subjects stated.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with County Administrator. I believe there is a conflict, and I would move that we waive that conflict.
Second.
Voting,
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Does that tell us out here anything? That one disagrees, 2 agree,
dates if you'd like.
Mark?
So, as was discussed before we actually went into executive session, because the action was filed over at the county court against the two county counselors, that created a potential conflict of interest for them. As their client, this board has the ability to waive that conflict so they can continue to do their daily work without being that interfering. And that's what the vote just was. Yes.
We ready for a motion to adjourn and to go into a work session? Budget work session?
Motion to adjourn, to go into budget hearings.
Yeah, it's really a budget work session. It was a hearing.
Budget work
Commissioner.
session.
Second.
Voting?
Aye.
Aye.